The Bermuda Triangle, a place of legend. Sailors whisper its name with fear. It's a watery grave where ships and planes vanish without a trace. Some say it's natural phenomena. Others believe something more sinister lurks beneath the waves. Whatever the truth, the Bermuda Triangle holds a dark and enduring mystery. For centuries, stories have circulated of strange occurrences within this infamous region. Compasses spin wildly. Electronic equipment goes haywire. Then silence. The vessels and their crews are never seen again. The mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle continue to baffle scientists and fuel countless tales of the unexplained. 17-year-old Elena Reyes never imagined she'd be anywhere near the Bermuda Triangle. The stories of ships disappearing without a trace, planes vanishing from the sky, and the eerie tales of ghostly apparitions had always seemed like something out of a movie or a book. But now, standing on the deck of her father's ship, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into one of those very stories. She'd heard the stories, of course. Who hasn't? The Bermuda Triangle is one of those mysteries that captures the imagination of anyone who hears about it. Tales of compasses spinning wildly, time standing still, and entire crews disappearing without a trace were the stuff of legends. Elena had always been fascinated by these stories, even if she pretended not to be. But she was more interested in her phone and her friends than maritime myths. Like any teenager, her world revolved around social media, texting, and hanging out with her friends. The sea was her father's domain, a place where he felt at home, but for Elena, it was just a backdrop to her life. She never thought she'd be part of an adventure that would take her into the heart of one of the world's greatest mysteries. Then her father, Captain Carlos Reyes, announced his next cargo run. It was a routine trip, or so he said, but the route would take them straight through the Bermuda Triangle. Elena's heart skipped a beat when she heard the news. She had always loved sailing with her father, but this time felt different. There was an undercurrent of tension in the air, a sense that this journey would be unlike any other. Their ship, the Sea Voyager, was bound straight through the heart of the triangle. The name itself seemed to carry a weight of destiny, as if the ship was meant to traverse these mysterious waters. As they sailed further from the shore, the familiar sights and sounds of the port faded away, replaced by the vast open ocean. The horizon stretched out endlessly, and the sky seemed to merge with the sea in a seamless expanse of blue. Elena had always loved sailing with her father. The bond they shared on these voyages was something special, a connection that went beyond words. They would spend hours talking about everything and nothing, sharing stories and dreams as the ship cut through the waves. The sea was a place where they could escape from the world and just be themselves. The open sea, the smell of salt air, the cries of the gulls, it was in her blood. There was a freedom out here that she couldn't find anywhere else. The rhythm of the waves, the endless sky, and the ever-changing horizon were like a song that played in her heart. It was a place where she felt alive, where the worries of everyday life seemed to melt away. But this time, a shiver of apprehension ran down her spine as they left port. The stories of the Bermuda Triangle loomed large in her mind, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. What if the legends were true? What if they encountered something out there that couldn't be explained? The thought sent a chill through her, but she tried to push it aside. After all, her father was the captain, and he had always kept them safe. The triangle held a new and unsettling significance. As they sailed deeper into its waters, the atmosphere seemed to change. The sky grew darker, and the sea took on an eerie, almost otherworldly quality. Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that something was out there, lurking just beyond the edge of their perception. The adventure had begun, and there was no turning back now. The first few days of the journey were uneventful. The sea was calm, a sheet of shimmering blue under the tropical sun. Elena helped her father with navigational charts, her initial anxiety fading into the rhythm of the voyage. But as they sailed deeper into the triangle, a strange feeling settled over It began subtly. The radio crackled with static. Elena's phone lost its signal. Then the ship's compass started to spin erratically. Captain Reyes, a seasoned sailor, checked and rechecked their position, a knot of concern growing on his brow. Something wasn't right. Section 4. Into the abyss. The sea, calm only moments before, began to churn. A swirling vortex of water formed beside the ship, glowing with an unnatural luminescence. The tossed violently, caught in the grip of an unseen force. Elena clung to the railing, fear gripping her heart as the whirlpool pulled them down into a swirling abyss. The last thing Elena remembered was her father's desperate cry, then everything went black. Section 5. A strange new world. Elena awoke to the sound of waves lapping against wood. The rhythmic sound was soothing, almost hypnotic, but it was also unfamiliar. She had no memory of how she got here, no recollection of the events that led her to this moment. Her mind was a blank slate, wiped clean by the trauma of whatever had happened. She felt a sense of disorientation, as if she were caught between two worlds, neither of which she fully understood. She sat up, dazed, her head pounding. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the landscape. She could feel the warmth of the sand beneath her, the cool breeze coming off the ocean. It was a beautiful, serene scene, but it did little to calm her racing heart. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but the sense of unease remained. She was lying on a beach, the remnants of a shipwreck scattered around her. Pieces of wood and metal were strewn across the sand, evidence of a violent storm or some other catastrophe. She looked around, hoping to see another survivor, but there was no one in sight. She was completely alone, stranded in this strange new world with no idea how to get back home, nowhere in sight. The isolation was overwhelming, a crushing weight on her chest. She had always been a social person, surrounded by friends and family, and the sudden solitude was almost unbearable. She felt a pang of homesickness, a longing for the familiar comforts of her old life, but she knew she couldn't afford to dwell on the past. She had to focus on surviving, on finding a way out of this place. Towering above her were trees unlike any she'd ever seen, their leaves shimmering with an iridescent glow. They seemed to pulse with a life of their own, casting an eerie light over the forest floor. The colors were otherworldly, a kaleidoscope of hues that shifted and changed with every movement. It was both beautiful and unsettling, a reminder that she was far from home. The air hummed with a strange energy, a palpable force that seemed to vibrate through her very being. It was as if the entire island was alive, a living, breathing entity that was aware of her presence. She could feel it in the ground beneath her feet, in the air she breathed, in the very fabric of reality itself. It was a sensation unlike anything she had ever experienced, both exhilarating and terrifying. She was in a place unlike anything she could have imagined. The landscape was surreal, a blend of familiar and alien elements that defied logic and reason. There were plants and animals that looked like they belonged in a science fiction movie, strange and wondrous creatures that moved with a grace and fluidity that was almost hypnotic. It was a world of endless possibilities, a place where the rules of reality seemed to bend and twist in ways she couldn't comprehend. As she explored, she discovered she was on a small island, shrouded in mist. The fog was thick and heavy, obscuring her vision and making it difficult to see more than a few feet in any direction. It was like walking through a dream, a surreal and disorienting experience that left her feeling even more lost and confused. But she pressed on, driven by a need to understand this strange new world and find a way back to her own. The vegetation was lush and alien, the air filled with the calls of unseen creatures. The plants were unlike anything she had ever seen, with vibrant colors and unusual shapes that seemed to defy the laws of nature. Some of them glowed with an inner light, casting an eerie glow over the forest floor. The sounds of the jungle were equally strange, a cacophony of calls and cries that echoed through the trees, creating a symphony of alien sounds that was both beautiful and unsettling. In a clearing, she found an ancient stone pedestal, upon which rested a weathered scroll. The pedestal was covered in strange symbols and markings, evidence of a long-lost civilization that had once inhabited this place. The scroll was old and fragile, its edges frayed and worn from the passage of time. She picked it up carefully, her hands trembling with excitement and fear. This could be the key to understanding this world, to finding a way back home. It spoke of a gateway, a way out of this dimension, but it could only be opened with 3 keys, each hidden in a dangerous place. The scroll was written in a language she didn't understand, but the illustrations were clear enough. There were maps and diagrams, showing the locations of the keys and the challenges she would face in retrieving them. It was a daunting task, but she knew she had no choice. If she wanted to get back home, she would have to find the keys and unlock the gateway. The journey ahead would be long and perilous, but she was determined to succeed. She had come too far to give up now. Section 6. The Keys to Freedom. In a world where freedom is a distant dream, one woman dared to seek it. Her name was Elena, and her journey was about to begin. With a mix of fear and determination, Elena set out to find the keys. The dense forest seemed to close in around her, every rustle of leaves a potential threat. Yet, she pressed on, flashlight in hand, her eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of the path she needed to take. The map she clutched was old and worn, its edges frayed from years of use. but it was her only guide in this treacherous journey. The scroll spoke of 3 trials, each guarded by a protector of this strange world. The symbols on the scroll were unlike anything Elena had ever seen, their meanings shrouded in mystery. As she unrolled the ancient parchment, the dim light cast eerie shadows on the walls, adding to the sense of foreboding that hung in the air. She knew that deciphering these symbols was the key to her success, and she spent hours poring over the scroll, trying to unlock its secrets. The first key lay in the Whispering Caves, guarded by giant, luminous spiders. The caves were a labyrinth of tunnels, each one more treacherous than the last. The glowing spider webs cast an eerie light, illuminating the path ahead but also revealing the dangers that lurked within. Elena's heart raced as she ventured deeper into the cave, her every step echoing in the silence. The spiders were massive, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light, and she knew that one wrong move could mean her end. But she pressed on, her determination unwavering until she finally found the first key, its glow a beacon of hope in the darkness. Elena used her wits and agility to navigate the treacherous tunnels, her heart pounding with each step. The air was thick with tension and every sound seemed amplified in the confined space. She moved quickly but carefully, her eyes constantly scanning for any sign of danger. The torch in her hand flickered, casting long shadows on the walls, and she could feel the weight of the cave pressing down on her. But she refused to let fear control her, and with each step, she grew more confident in her ability to overcome the challenges ahead. The second key rested atop Mount Peril, home to creatures made of living rock. The mountain was a formidable challenge, its rocky peaks shrouded in stormy skies. The creatures that guarded the key were unlike anything Elena had ever seen, their bodies made of living rock that seemed to blend seamlessly with the mountain itself. As she began her ascent, she could feel the eyes of the creatures watching her, their presence a constant reminder of the dangers she faced. But she was determined to succeed, and she pushed herself to climb higher and higher, her muscles burning with the effort. Elena braved treacherous climbs and narrow ridges, using her ingenuity to outsmart the rock giants. The path was narrow and precarious, with sheer drops on either side, but she moved with confidence, her every step calculated and precise. The rock giants were formidable opponents, their massive forms blocking her path at every turn. But Elena was clever and resourceful, and she used her surroundings to her advantage, finding ways to outmaneuver the giants and continue her climb. Her determination never wavered, and she finally reached the summit, where the second key awaited her. Finally, the third key lay in the Valley of Whispers, guarded by the very wind itself. The valley was a place of mystery and danger, its swirling mists hiding countless secrets. The wind was a constant presence, its howling a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. As Elena stood at the entrance of the valley, she could feel the weight of her journey pressing down on her, but she knew that she had come too far to turn back now. She took a deep breath and stepped into the valley, ready to face whatever challenges awaited her. Elena's courage was tested as never before as she faced howling winds and swirling vortexes, her determination unwavering. The wind seemed to have a life of its own, pushing and pulling her in every direction, but she refused to be defeated. She moved forward with purpose, her eyes fixed on the goal ahead. The swirling vortexes were a constant threat, their powerful currents threatening to sweep her away, but she used her strength and agility to navigate through them. Her face was a mask of determination, every muscle in her body straining with the effort. And finally, after what felt like an eternity, she reached the heart of the valley, where the third and final key awaited her.